Good morning. So what we're going to do now is hook up another sensor to our robot. And this time we're going to use one of these sharp sensors. This is a 2YAO21. We have a couple different types around. Um, and these guys work by having a bright infrared light shining out, one detector, and using that reflected light to be able to measure a distance. Okay, we're going to see a change in value. This is also an analog device. It's going to be just plugged into one of the analog ports, and we should be good to go. So let me go ahead and just plug this guy in. I've already used, in my case, A0 and A1, so I'm going to plug it into A2. And actually watch this. This is kind of cool. You can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to hold it close to this camera here. And there you can see, there it is. There you can see the bright infrared light, which you cannot see with just your unaided eye. It will not show up anything. You won't be able to see a thing. All right. It's a good test though if you happen to have a digital camera to make sure it's actually working. So let's go ahead and do the usual. We're going to test it to make sure it's actually receiving data just fine. So I'm going to go to Examples, Basics, Analog Read Serial. I'm going to scroll down here. I said I hooked it up not to A0 but to A2, and I'm going to make this delay more reasonable at 100. I'm going to load it up, and then I'm going to open up that serial plotter because I just think it's kind of cool. Maybe I'll pause this for just a second. Okay, so it's done uploading. So now I'm going to go to Tools. I'm going to go to Serial Plotter, and let's take a look at what we got. Okay, I don't have a lot of space in here, so it's still going to see something in front of me. About I don't know, a little less than a meter away. I've got a bunch of stuff on my shelves, and as I get my hand closer and closer and closer, you can see the value goes up. So right now I'm at maybe, oh, I don't know, 15 centimeters or something like that, and I've got a value of around 600 or so. So I'm probably going to make it so that my robot reacts at something closer to, say, 300, which is just, I'm going to pull my hands down here so a little more depth of field. It's getting close to 20-30 centimeters. I just want to be able to see something that's not too far away so I can go ahead and chase it down. Alright, and to hook it up I've got a couple of choices. These guys are really nice. They fit on the radius of the robot, so you can put them anywhere on the outer edge, and this cut right here is going to fit the radius. All right, and it takes just a single screw, which you put into, for example, this hole here, and then you can attach it anywhere you want on the radius in any one of these attachment points. It can go above and below. All right, so I can have it real low. And the sharp sensor itself simply screws in right here, okay, with two of the shortest screws, the 1/4" screws that we have around. All right, I'm actually going to choose a different way. I like the 3D printed parts, so I'm going to use this guy, and then the sharp sensor is going to mount on here like this with two small screws and a nut. And of course this guy here is going to fit as a linkage, and I'll attach this piece to the chassis. So let me assemble it, and then I'll show you what I've got, and I'll be right back. Okay, I actually decided in the last second here to not use the extender arm, and I have it mounted just directly to the bottom. This is the bottom. I flipped it over. I have it mounted to the bottom of the chassis, and I'll zoom in a little bit on this so we can get a closer look at it, if I can get my thing up there. Alright, so you see all I've done is I've attached the pivot portion to the chassis with a single screw, which is currently kind of hidden underneath here, and then I have the sharp sensor with two small screws and two nuts that are attached. So now everything's sort of set up. So let me flip this guy back over again, and let me get some code going, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, so here's some admittedly terrible code. Okay, this is not award-winning code by any means, but it does show the basic parts all working together. And then hopefully from something like this you can actually build some more effective code. But we'll go over it real quick. Of course, I've got my servo pins. My onboard LED has also been declared here. I've created those 3 variables. I've added this one right here, the sharp pin, which remember it's hooked into pin A0 right there. I have the variables to collect the data in, all right, and I've added another one from last time, which of course is the sharp value, which I'm going to store that information in. Setup remains the same. It does the blink 3 times. I've already set up the pins for outputs, so all that works just fine. I'm going to jump back down here because I left this out last time. The check sensor, super simple. Literally, it just gathers the data from all 3 of the devices we currently have hooked up and loads them into their variables. And this is my really bad code that demonstrates it functionally. I check to see whether or not any of these variables, which have been filled up by gathering this data in the check sensor function right here, have a value greater than, in this case, I just set them all to 300. I'm keeping it super easy. And if it does, it's either going to turn right or it's going to turn left, or it's going to, in this case, if the sharp value gets greater than 300, in other words, it's something in the distance of like that, it's going to lurch forward only 5 steps. And this is partly why it's such lousy code, because then it's still, notice I have no real alternative here, it's still going to take at least 1 forward step slow. Then it's going to loop back up and check the sensors and zip down these conditions here. And then check again. If it's still greater than 300, we're going to lurch forward fast for a short time. We're still going to take 1 step slow, and we're going to get a real choppy run. But there's no scanning. There's no... oops, there we go. Move my hand in front of it. So this still works fine. Okay, we got the black line detector. I don't know if I can get in here without tripping the sharp. And like I said, the sharp is set up. You can't see it with my hand, there you can see my shadow. My hand is coming in, and it's doing those lurching forward steps. And then, of course, if I move my hand away and back, all right. But it's still saying it's taking 5 steps forward and then a single step slowly forward, so it's a real jerky action. But it does demonstrate that all these pieces do function, and if you had your robot doing some sort of scanning maneuver, that would be good. You would want to recheck your priorities. There's no reason to go slow if in fact there's something in front of it. So a little bit of code rewriting here would probably be very beneficial. And next I'm going to do is talk about putting on some other sensors, because right now we are still blind to our sides and back, and we'll move forward. So I'll see you here shortly.